Ava hired a handsome Black French translator to guide her through her stay in Paris, and she couldn't tell if it was love at first sight, but she knew she had not felt such immediate attraction towards a stranger before. His voice sounded like everything she saw as perfect. She never expected this meeting to go farther than just that, but what started as a simple business arrangement became something neither of them expected. Ava Monroe was 29 years old, and she had already built an empire. As the CEO and founder of a luxury sustainable fashion brand, she had turned a small idea into a $100 million business over 8 years of relentless work. She lived in penthouses, flew in private jets, and wore clothes most people could only dream of affording. Success had given her everything, except the one thing money could not buy. She was lonely. Her last relationship had ended 3 years ago. He could not handle her success, could not stand being known as Ava Monroe's boyfriend instead of his own person. The breakup taught her a painful lesson. It was easier to focus on work than to risk her heart again. So she built walls around herself, high and strong, and told herself that her business was enough. But now, Paris was calling. Paris Fashion Week was approaching, and this was not just another event for Ava. She was launching a major collaboration with 3 prestigious French fashion houses. This deal could make her brand the dominant force in sustainable luxury fashion across the world. Everything depended on the next month. She needed to be in Paris for crucial negotiations, design sessions, fabric sourcing, and the final runway show. There was just one problem. The French executives were traditional, old school. They preferred conducting important parts of their business in French as a matter of pride and cultural respect. Ava's regular translator had a family emergency and could not make the trip. Ava sat in her New York office frustrated when her assistant Keisha walked in with a solution. Keisha had been with Ava for 4 years. She was efficient, loyal, and one of the few people Ava actually trusted. She placed a folder on the desk. "I found someone," Keisha said. "Jean-Laurent Dubois. He is based in Paris, specializes in fashion and luxury translation. He has a master's in translation and business, and he has worked with all the major fashion houses. My contact says he is the best." Ava glanced at the profile. 32 years old, impressive credentials, reasonable rates. She noticed he was also a photographer on the side. Creative types usually understood fashion better than corporate translators. "Book him for the full month," Ava said, already moving on to the next item on her agenda. She did not think much about Jean-Laurent Dubois. He was just another person she was hiring to do a job, just another piece in the complex puzzle of her Paris mission. 3 days later, Ava's private jet touched down at Le Bourget Airport just outside Paris. She had been on her phone the entire flight, closing deals, answering emails, reviewing contracts. Even as the plane descended, she was typing out instructions to her New York team. This was how Ava operated. Every moment was productive. Every second had purpose. The jet came to a stop on the private tarmac. Ava gathered her things, checked her reflection in her phone camera, and adjusted her designer sunglasses. She stepped out into the Paris afternoon, the sun bright and warm on her face. She was wearing a black dress that probably cost more than most people earned in a month. Her heels clicked against the metal stairs as she descended. She looked every bit the powerful CEO she was, confident and untouchable. At the bottom of the stairs stood a man. He was tall, wearing a crisp white shirt and dark slacks. His posture was relaxed but professional. As Ava appeared in the doorway, he looked up, and their eyes met. Something shifted in Ava's chest. It was unexpected and unwelcome. She had not felt this kind of immediate attraction in years. There was something about the way he stood there, comfortable in his own skin, watching her with warm, intelligent eyes. She pushed the feeling down immediately. He was an employee. This was business, nothing more. Ava reached the tarmac and walked toward him, her professional mask firmly in place. She extended her hand. "Jean-Laurent, I am Ava Monroe." He took her hand. Her grip was firm and warm, and the handshake lasted just a moment longer than necessary. When he spoke, his voice carried a beautiful French accent, cultured but not pretentious. "A pleasure, Miss Monroe. Welcome to Paris. I am JL,
Please, call me that." His smile was genuine. It reached his eyes in a way that felt rare in Ava's world of calculated business interactions. She found herself holding his gaze longer than she intended, then quickly pulled her hand back. "Thank you for meeting me on short notice. Let us get straight to business. I have a meeting at 3. JL glanced at his watch, then back at her with gentle amusement in his eyes. "Miss Monroe, it is 1 in the afternoon. You have just flown across the Atlantic. Perhaps lunch first. There is an excellent place nearby." Ava bristled slightly. She was not used to people questioning her schedule. "I do not need lunch. I need to work." JL did not seem intimidated by her tone. He regarded her thoughtfully, as if he could see right through her carefully constructed armor. "Of course, but the French executives you are meeting, they will have had a 2-hour lunch. They will expect you to have eaten as well. Cultural context matters in negotiations." Ava paused. He had a point. She prided herself on being prepared, and if French business culture demanded this, she should respect it. "Fine, somewhere quick." JL's lips curved into a slight smile. "Quick is not really the Parisian way, but I'll do my best." As he reached for Ava's luggage, Ava watched him move. There was an ease about him, an unhurried grace that was completely foreign to her high-speed, high-pressure world. And somehow, that made him more intriguing. She caught herself staring and looked away, annoyed with herself. He was here to work for her, nothing more. She needed to remember that. But as they walked toward his car, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that this month in Paris was going to be far more complicated than she had planned.
Jean-Laurent drove Ava to a small bistro tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. It was not flashy or expensive looking, but the moment they sat down, Ava understood why he had chosen it. The food was exceptional, and the atmosphere was warm and genuine. Over lunch, he asked thoughtful questions about her business. He listened intently as she explained her vision for sustainable luxury fashion, how she wanted to prove that ethics and elegance could coexist. He did not flatter or fawn over her success. He simply engaged with her ideas as if she were a person, not a celebrity CEO. Ava found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did. There was an intelligence in how he spoke, a depth that showed he understood more than just language. When she asked about his background, he told her he had studied business before pivoting to translation. "I realized I did not want to build empires," he said with a slight smile. "I wanted to connect people. There is value in being the bridge." Something about his contentment intrigued her. Everyone in her world was always chasing more, bigger, better. Jean-Laurent seemed genuinely at peace with his choices, and that was rare. The first meeting with the French executives went better than expected. He was invaluable. He did not just translate words, he read body language, picked up on cultural nuances, and quietly guided her through the unspoken rules of French business etiquette. When one executive made a subtle test of her commitment, he leaned close and whispered the context she needed. She handled it perfectly. After the meeting, as they walked back to the car, Ava felt genuinely impressed. "You saved that deal." He shrugged. "You saved it. I just helped you understand the room." Over the next few days, they fell into a rhythm. Every morning started with coffee at a cafe near her hotel. He would recommend dishes, teach her useful French phrases, and share stories about Paris that made the city feel less intimidating. Ava found herself laughing at his dry humor, looking forward to these mornings more than the high-stakes meetings that followed. One evening, he took her to meet fabric suppliers in Le Marais. They visited small ateliers where artisans created textiles by hand. Ava was in heaven, running her fingers over silks and linens, discussing techniques with the craftspeople. He translated, but she noticed him photographing her as she worked. She looked up, catching him. "Why are you taking photos?" He lowered his camera, unbothered by being caught. "You are fascinating to watch when you work. You transform. It is worth capturing." The compliment was stated so simply, like a fact rather than flattery. Ava did not know how to respond. She was used to people praising her success or her business acumen, but Jean-Laurent seemed to see something deeper, something more personal.
A week into her stay, the French executives invited Ava to dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant. He attended to translate. Over wine and multiple courses, the conversation flowed easily. The executives asked about her journey, her vision for the future. He translated her answers, but Ava noticed something. He softened her words slightly, adding warmth to her naturally direct communication style. Walking back to her hotel afterward, she confronted him about it. "You changed what I said in there." He did not deny it. "I translated the spirit, not just the words. You are passionate and driven, but sometimes, in French, being direct can seem cold. I helped them see your fire, not just your efficiency." Ava should have been angry at him for taking that liberty. Instead, she felt something else entirely. He understood her in a way few people did. He saw past her polished exterior to the passion underneath. "Jean-Laurent," she whispered. He stood. "It is late. I should go." "Don't," she reached for his hand. "Don't go." He looked down at their joined hands, then back at her face. His expression was conflicted. "Ava, if I stay, it will not be professional anymore." "I don't want professional right now." "You are my employer. You are vulnerable. This is not right." She kissed him before he could say more. For a heartbeat, he froze. Then he responded, his hands coming up to cup her face. The kiss deepened, and all the tension that had been building between them for 2 weeks finally broke free. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," Ava admitted. "So have I." He touched her face gently. "But Ava, your world and mine are very different." "I don't care." "You might, tomorrow, when you remember who you are and who I am." "Who are you?" "A translator who takes the metro, who lives in a small apartment, who—" He trailed off. "Who sees me," Ava interrupted. "Who makes me feel human again, who I think about constantly." She leaned into his touch. "Stay, please." This time, when they kissed, he did not pull away. That night changed everything between them. When morning came, they both knew there was no going back to purely professional. Over the next few days, they stopped pretending. Jean-Laurent still translated at her meetings, but afterward they were together. Dinners at small restaurants, walks along the Seine, late evenings in her hotel suite talking about everything and nothing. Ava felt something she had not felt in years. Happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. He made her laugh, challenged her thinking, and saw her as more than just a successful CEO. With him, she could simply be Ava. But reality had a way of intruding. One evening, as the major negotiations were concluding, one of the French executives had too much wine at dinner. He made a comment in French, assuming Ava would not understand. Jean-Laurent's face darkened immediately, and he responded sharply. The executive apologized quickly, looking embarrassed. Later, Ava asked what had been said. He hesitated, then told her the truth. The man had made a crude joke about him being lucky, sleeping with a rich American woman, suggesting he was set for life now. Ava saw the hurt in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. She realized this was not the first time he had faced such assumptions, that being with someone like her came with a price he would have to pay. "Does it bother you?" she asked quietly. "The difference in our situations?" He was silent for a long moment. "I would be lying if I said it did not complicate things. People will always assume I am with you for your money, that I am using you. I do not think that. But you might, someday, when someone plants that seed of doubt in your mind." The words hung heavy between them. Ava wanted to argue, to say it would never happen, but she could not promise that. She had been burned before, had learned to be cautious with her trust. The final negotiations concluded successfully. Her Paris partnership was official, a massive win for her company. There was a celebration dinner with all the French executives, champagne and congratulations flowing freely. Ava should have been thrilled, but all she could think about was that her time in Paris was ending. She was leaving in 2 days. That night, back at her hotel, the conversation they had both been avoiding finally happened.
"What happens now?" Ava asked. Jean-Laurent sat across from her, his expression serious. "I do not know. You are going back to New York. I am here. Our lives are in different places. We could try long distance." "Could we? Really?" He leaned forward. "Ava, think about it. You fly private jets. I take the metro. You shop at designer boutiques. I buy my clothes at street markets. How does that work long term? One of us would have to completely change our life." "So, you're saying this cannot work?" "I am saying it is complicated." He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "I am falling in love with you. No, I have fallen in love with you, but I do not know how to be with someone when the world keeps telling us we don't fit." Ava felt tears burning her eyes. "I love you too. Does that not matter?" "Of course it matters, but love is not always enough, is it? People will always question my motives, always assume I am with you for what you can give me, not who you are. And you will always wonder if I can handle your success, or if I will be like your ex, intimidated and resentful." The words cut deep because they were true. Those fears had been lurking in the back of Ava's mind, unspoken but present. "So what are you saying? We just give up?" Jean-Laurent looked at her, pain evident on his face. "I am saying I do not have the answers, and maybe we both need time to figure out if this is something we can actually build, or just a beautiful moment in Paris that was never meant to last." Ava wanted to argue, to fight for them, but exhaustion and fear overwhelmed her. Maybe he was right. Maybe the complications were too great. "Maybe you are right," she whispered. The next day was torture. Jean-Laurent came to help her with final arrangements, perfectly professional, as if the night before hadn't happened. They barely spoke beyond logistics. The warmth between them had been replaced by a painful distance. On her last morning, Ava stood in her hotel room, bags packed, feeling emptier than she had in years. Jean-Laurent was supposed to drive her to the airport, but she had texted him not to come. She could not bear another goodbye. The car service arrived. Ava took a last look at Paris from her window, the city that had given her so much and taken even more, then headed downstairs. At the airport, going through the private terminal, Ava kept looking back. Part of her hoped Jean-Laurent would appear, that he had changed his mind, that they would find a way. But he did not come. She boarded her jet alone, her heart breaking in a way she had not expected. As Paris disappeared beneath the clouds, Ava let herself cry, for what she had found and for what she had lost. Back in New York, Ava threw herself into work with even more intensity than before. The Paris deal had opened new doors, brought in major opportunities. Her company was thriving. She should have been celebrating. Instead, she felt hollow. 2 months passed. Ava had not contacted Jean-Laurent, and he had not reached out to her either. She told herself it was for the best, that they had made the right decision, but every morning she woke up missing him, missing his smile, his insight, the way he made her feel seen. Keisha finally confronted her one evening, finding her in her office long before everyone else had gone home. "You are miserable." Ava did not bother denying it. "I'm fine." "You are not. You have not been fine since you came back from Paris. Just call him." "He has not called me either." "Because you're both being stubborn and stupid." Keisha sat down across from her. "You love him. He loves you. Everything else is just noise." "It's not that simple." "Why not? Because he's not rich? Because people might judge? Since when do you care what people think?" The question hit home. Ava had built her entire empire by not caring about others' opinions, by following her vision despite criticism. When had she become so afraid? That night, lying in bed, Ava made a decision. She was tired of being cautious, tired of protecting herself from potential hurt. Jean-Laurent was worth the risk. They were worth the risk. She called her pilot and told him to prepare the jet. She was going back to Paris. 18 hours later, Ava stood outside Jean-Laurent's apartment building in the 18th arrondissement. Her heart was pounding.
She had not told him she was coming. He might not even want to see her, but she had to try. She pressed the buzzer for his apartment. After a long moment, his voice came through, surprised. "Ava? Can I come up?" The door buzzed open without another word. Ava climbed the stairs to his floor, her nerves increasing with each step. When she reached his door, it was already open. Jean-Laurent stood in the doorway, looking shocked and hopeful and uncertain all at once. "What are you doing here?" "I made a mistake. Walking away was a mistake." "Ava, nothing has changed. The complications are still there." "You are right. Nothing has changed, except me." She stepped closer. "I spent 2 months trying to convince myself that the practical thing was to let you go, that the differences between us were too big to overcome, but I was wrong. The money difference, people's judgments, those things are real. I know, and I don't care." Ava took his hand. "I built a $100 million company from nothing. I faced criticism, doubt, people telling me I would fail. I didn't listen to them then, and I'm not going to start now. If you think I'm going to let other people's small-minded opinions stop me from being with the man I love, you don't know me very well." Jean-Laurent's expression softened. "I never said you were not stubborn. I preferred determined." She squeezed his hand. "I don't expect you to change your life for me, and I'm not changing mine, but I want to build something new, something that is ours. I'll spend more time here. You can come to New York when you want. We figure it out as we go." "It won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is." She looked up at him. "I love you, Jean-Laurent, and I'm tired of being afraid. Life is too short to walk away from something real just because it's complicated." Jean-Laurent pulled her close, and when he kissed her, it felt like coming home. When they finally broke apart, he was smiling, really smiling, for the first time since she had arrived. "I missed you every single day." "I missed you too. So what now?" "Now we stop overthinking and just live together." 6 months later, Ava and Jean-Laurent had found their rhythm. She'd split her time between New York and Paris, had promoted someone to handle day-to-day operations in New York. Jean-Laurent had expanded his translation work, taking on bigger clients, even started showing his photography in galleries. They weren't perfect. They still had disagreements about money, about how much was too much to spend, about maintaining independence while being together. But they talked through it, compromised, learned each other's perspectives.
One morning, they were back at Le Bourget Airport, arriving together after a trip to New York. As they walked across the tarmac, Jean-Laurent stopped and pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" He showed her a photo. It was from the day they met, Ava descending the stairs of her jet, looking polished and untouchable. She had not known he had taken it. "You photographed me that first day?" "I photograph moments that matter. Something told me you were going to change my life." He smiled. "I was right." Ava looked at the photo, then at Jean-Laurent. "Show me the one from today." He had already taken it, them walking side by side across the tarmac, her hand in his. "Perfect," she said. "Yes," Jean-Laurent agreed, looking at her instead of the photo. "It is." They had learned that love was not about having the same background or the same bank account. It was about choosing each other every day, despite the complications. It was about building something together that honored both of their worlds. Ava had come to Paris for a business deal. She found something far more valuable, a partner who saw past her success to her heart, a man who was secure enough in himself to stand beside her, not behind her or in front of her, but beside her as an equal. And Jean-Laurent had taken what he thought would be a routine translation job. Instead, he found a woman who challenged him to think bigger, to want more, not in terms of money, but in terms of life itself. Paris had been the beginning, but their story, their real story, was just getting started. And whatever came next, they would face it together.